The arrival of the Death Worlder. The sky above Camp Razorwind was always dark and stormy. Lightning danced across the clouds. This was the hardest military training base in the galaxy. Only the strongest cadets came here. Only the toughest survived. Alien. Soldiers stood in rows, their bodies tall, strong and trained. Giant insect-like warriors from Terrax. Cold-blooded lizard men from Varnock. Heavy rock-skinned fighters from Dern. All had come to complete the famous one-week Hell course. Few made, at most failed. Some even died. At the front of the training field, Drill Sergeant Klorak stood with his arms behind his back. His 6 red eyes scanned the group. He was strict, powerful, and feared by all. He spoke loudly. "You are here because you want to. Be the best. This course will break you. If you finish it, you earn respect. If you don't, you go home in a medical pod." Some cadets gulped. Others stood tall. The course had 7 stages. Each was harder than the last. It was designed by war veterans. Even elite soldiers cried during the second day. Just then, a loud alarm buzzed. Everyone turned. A small ship landed at the edge of the field. It was not big or special. In fact, it looked old. The door opened slowly with a hiss. Out stepped a small figure in a gray jumpsuit. It was a human. The other cadets laughed. "That's the Death Worlder," said a Varnock lizard man with sharp teeth. "She's so small." "She won't last 1 hour," hissed a Terrax warrior. But Drill Sergeant Klorak did not laugh. He stared at her carefully. The girl walked calmly across the field. She had short brown hair and quiet eyes. No fear on her face. No weapon in her hand. She stopped in front of the sergeant and saluted. "Cadet from Earth reporting for training," she said simply. Klorak looked at her. "Name?" "Cadet Ash," she said. "You know this is the hardest training in the galaxy?" "Yes, sir." "You may die." "Yes, sir." Klorak nodded slowly. "Begin the course." The other cadets were sent to their resting area. Ash was told to start Stage 1 immediately. Stage 1, the mountain climb, a tall, freezing mountain full of spikes, traps, and wild beasts. Most cadets needed 1 full day to reach the top. Ash looked up at the peak. She started climbing. The cameras watched. The instructors watched. Even some cadets sneaked looks at the screen. 30 minutes later, she was at the top. No cuts, no injuries, just cold eyes and calm breath. Stage 2, the poison forest, toxic air, deadly plants, and shadow creatures that attacked anything that moved. Usually it took 10 hours. She walked in with no suit, just her jumpsuit. She came out in 20 minutes. Stage 3, Stage 4, Stage 5. Each task was supposed to break her. Each one was built to push bodies and minds to the edge. But Ash moved through all of them like they were games. She didn't run fast. She didn't fly. She didn't use any tech. She just moved. Smartly. Quietly. With perfect control. By the end of 1 hour, she stood at the end of Stage 7. The final test. A one-on-one combat against a giant battle droid. She stood still, while the droid charged at her. Suddenly she dodged, grabbed the droid's leg, twisted, and used its own weight to throw it down. She then pressed the off switch behind its head. All done in under 10 seconds. The base was silent. The sergeants gathered in the control room, their eyes wide, their mouths open. "No one has ever done that," whispered Sergeant Zara. "Not in 1 week. And she did it in 1 hour?" Klorak's face was serious. "Replay the footage." They watched each test again, slowed it down, checked for cheats. No tricks, no tools. "Then how?" asked another officer. "She saw things differently," said Klorak quietly. "She saw the path we didn't plan. She thought like a Death Worlder." Back outside, Ash stood quietly. Her jumpsuit had some dust on it. That was all. No scratches. No sweat. A Terrax cadet walked over. "How did you do that?" Ash looked at him. Her voice was calm. "I grew up on a planet where danger is normal. You survive by thinking fast, acting smart, or you die. The cadet said nothing. Later that night, the base was quiet but not at peace. The drill sergeant sat in the dark, rewatching her training. "She's not just a cadet," said Zara. "She's something else." Clorak nodded. "If one Death Worlder can do this, what happens when more come?" Outside, Ash stood alone, looking up at the stars, and somewhere far away, Earth was watching. The impossible test. The lights in the command room flickered. Drill Sergeant Clorak stood in silence, staring at the giant screen. Around him, other, high-ranking officers watched the replay for the 10th time. Cadet Ash, the human from Earth, had finished the entire one-week training course in 1 hour. No one said a word. The room smelled of fear, not sweat. "She didn't just pass," said Officer Zara slowly. "She broke the course." Clorak didn't respond. He was watching the video of Stage 4 again, the pit of hunger. Most cadets had to fight wild creatures for hours. "Ash?" She tossed a rock, caused a landslide, and trapped them all before they even noticed her. Smart. Silent. Perfect. "That was not luck," Clorak finally said. "That was instinct." They checked her suit. No illegal tech, no boosters, no secret help. The scanner showed she had no weapons, no armor. "She used nothing," whispered another officer. "Just her mind and body." The word spread across the camp like wildfire. The other cadets stared at her from far away. No one dared talk to her. Even the Terax warriors, known for being proud and loud, stayed silent when she passed by. In the mess hall, she ate alone. Quiet. Calm. At night, Clorak stood on the watchtower, looking down at the field. Behind him, Officer Zara spoke. "She's more than a soldier," she said. "She's a problem." Clorak didn't answer. His eyes stayed on the field. "I want her tested again," he said finally. "This time she won't know it's a test." The next morning, Ash was called to the arena. "Another trial?" she asked. "Just to check," said Clorak. "A small challenge, for fun." Ash nodded. She entered a large dome-shaped room. Inside, it looked like an empty battlefield. Sand, rocks, a few metal walls. Quiet. The walls closed behind her. Suddenly, loudspeakers crackled. Simulation level, Omega. The floor began to shift. Drones appeared in the air. Red lights, warning signals. Combat simulation, the highest level ever created. This was the impossible test used only in secret. Even elite alien soldiers had failed it. No warning, no instructions. Ash moved fast. A drone fired. She rolled under it and grabbed a broken metal pipe. She threw it like a spear. It hit the drone's engine. Explosion. 2 more drones came in. She ran, ducked behind a wall, and used its shadow to trick the enemy's heat vision. Bang. Bang. Both drones dropped. The room changed shape. Walls moved. A fake building appeared. Traps activated. A fake civilian screamed. Ash ran into the building, disarmed the trap in 3 seconds, picked up the civilian dummy, and leapt out just before an explosion. The officers watching the test were frozen. "She's rewriting the program's logic," Zara said. "She's not just reacting. She's predicting it." Ash tapped into the drone control signal using only a panel she ripped from a broken robot. In less than a minute, she reprogrammed one drone to attack the others. The simulation ended. Early. It shut itself down. Overloaded. The room filled with smoke. Ash stepped out, coughing a little. Clorak stood at the door. "You knew this was a secret test?" he said. Ash nodded. "Yes." "Did you cheat?" "No." "Then how?" Ash looked at him. "Earth is not a calm place. We learn fast, or we don't last long." Clorak's face showed no emotion, but inside, he was shaken. He walked back to the command center and called for a meeting. "The Death Worlder can't be trained like others," he said. "She's beyond that." "Then what is she doing here?" someone asked. "I don't know." That night, something stranger happened. Ash was seen in the tech bay, Not breaking in, just walking in. The doors opened for her like she belonged. There. She stood before the galactic weapon database and simply looked. No one stopped her. She didn't touch anything. She didn't steal anything. She just watched, then walked away. Zara was watching the camera feed. "She's studying us," Zara said. "For what?" Klorak asked. Ash sat under the stars again, same as the night before. Still, quiet. A young cadet walked over and asked her, "Why are you really here?" She didn't answer. Instead, she looked up at the sky. "I'm just learning," she whispered. "But the galaxy will learn too, soon." The next day, Camp Razorwind received a message. It wasn't from any known system. It was short. "Observation complete. Next phase. Begin." Klorak stared at the message. His hands were cold. Ash had finished their impossible test. Now they were part of her test. Fear behind the masks. The moon above Camp Razorwind turned red. It was a rare sign, the blood eclipse. Normally it meant celebration for the alien soldiers, but tonight no one smiled. No music played. No one danced. Everyone was watching her. Cadet Ash, the Death Worlder. She had passed the hardest training in 1 hour. She had defeated the impossible test, and now she was just sitting silently in the courtyard watching the sky. But something about her silence was loud. Inside the base's war room, the drill sergeants held a private meeting. Lights were dim. Doors locked. Only top-ranking officers were allowed. A heavy door slammed shut. Drill Sergeant Klorak stood at the center of the table. His sharp voice broke the silence. "She's more than a soldier. I think she's something else." Sergeant Zara leaned forward. "She unlocked drone tech with scrap metal. That system isn't taught outside military research. How did she know that?" "She didn't just learn it," said another officer. "She understood it. Faster than our engineers." They all looked at each other. Then someone said the words no one wanted to say. "She might be a spy." The room froze. "A human spy? Alone?" Klorak asked, his voice calm. "She's not alone," Zara replied. "That message we got yesterday, it wasn't random. It was from Earth, encrypted. And we couldn't decode it," another officer added. "But she understood it. She looked up at the stars, right after it came in." Klorak's face was hard to read. "Maybe she's not here to steal. Maybe she's here to study." "Study us?" someone asked. "Yes," said Zara. "What if we're the test?" Outside, Ash walked past the sleeping quarters. Every cadet pretended to be asleep, but many watched her from their beds. Even the loudest warriors now feared her quiet steps. One Varnock cadet whispered, "I think she doesn't blink." A Terax replied, "She doesn't breathe hard, even after the hardest test." Ash reached the training ground and stood still. Then, she began doing something strange. She started moving through every training stage, backwards. Stage 7. Stage 6. Stage 5. She did the course again, but this time, in reverse order, at night. Alone, and faster than before. No camera was on. But the security sensors picked it up. In the war room, alarms beeped. Officers watched as she moved through each test again, perfectly. "She's not resting," Klorak said. "She's learning us, studying the course again, backward, like a puzzle she already solved." Zara said quietly, "She doesn't sleep. She doesn't eat much. She barely blinks." Klorak nodded. "We gave her our hardest test and she broke it. Now she's making her own." The next morning, all cadets were called to the courtyard. Ash stood among them, silent as usual. Klorak stepped forward. "Today we are selecting 5 cadets for an advanced mission simulation." The screen showed a dangerous battlefield on a lava planet. Only commanders ever trained there. "Ash," Klorak said, "you will lead one team." Ash tilted her head. "Why?" "Because we need to see what you do when others follow you." Ash said nothing. She simply walked to the front. Behind her, 4 alien cadets stood nervously. None of them had trained with her before. Inside the simulation, the mission began. Ash didn't shout orders. She didn't even speak. She moved, fast, clean, smart, and somehow her team followed her, perfectly, without words. She used hand signals, tiny looks, silent nods. In 10 minutes, her team completed the entire mission. No injuries, no losses. All targets cleared. The second team, led by a senior alien cadet, failed badly. When the simulation ended, the results were clear. Ash didn't just lead. She made others better. Even those who feared her became stronger beside her. Later that night, Klorak sat alone in the war room. He looked at the test results, then at a photo of Earth on the screen. He whispered, "If she's the first, what will the others be like?" Then suddenly, a message appeared on the screen. Message from unknown source. "You are not the first to watch. You are the first to fear." Klorak stood up sharply. He called Zara. "Trace this message," he ordered. But Zara looked pale. It came from inside the base. Somewhere deep in the base, in the old storage tunnels, Ash sat with her legs crossed. In front of her was a tiny screen, glowing with strange symbols. She was smiling, just a little. The message she sent had done its job. The sergeants were afraid, and fear was the first step, not of war, but of change. The cadet doesn't sleep. No one had seen her sleep, not once. 3 days had passed since Cadet Ash arrived at Camp Razorwind. No one saw her enter the dorms. No one saw her rest, lie down, or even close her eyes for long. "She's always moving," whispered a Terax cadet. "She walks the halls at night," said another. Like a ghost. Whispers turned into rumors, and rumors turned into fear. Inside, the command tower security footage was being reviewed for the 5th time. Sergeant Klorak sat with arms crossed. His 6 red eyes were locked on the screen. Ash was there, walking through the camp at 03:17 Galactic Time. Alone, calm, controlled. "She walked past 17 cameras," said Officer Zara, tapping the console. "Every single one glitched for 2 seconds as she passed." Klorak didn't move. "Electromagnetic disturbance?" another officer asked. "No," Zara said quietly. "She walked too perfectly. Each camera failed exactly when she entered frame, and recovered the moment she left." Klorak leaned forward. "Is she doing it on purpose?" "We don't know," Zara replied. "But she never goes near the med bay, never eats more than a nutrient bar, no rest, no pain, no anger." The room fell silent. "What kind of death worlder? Doesn't need sleep?" Zara asked. That night they sent someone to follow her, a stealth drone, small, silent, invisible. At 02:00, it left the tower and locked onto her signal. Ash was near the edge of the base, staring up at the stars again. She didn't move for 20 minutes, just stood there, still as stone. Then, she turned her head slightly, right at the drone. The drone's screen flickered, the camera buzzed. Then, black. In the war room, Klorak stood up. She took it down. "No weapons were detected," said the tech officer. "She didn't need weapons," Klorak replied. "She saw it coming." Zara leaned forward. "Sergeant, do you think she ever sleeps?" "No," Klorak said. "I think she doesn't need to." The next morning, during combat drills, the cadets were split into teams. Ash was placed with the weakest squad, new recruits, nervous aliens, a rookie with shaky hands. She didn't complain. She never complained. The test began. Clear the training. Arena from 30 armed drones in under 15 minutes. Her team? Done in 3. She gave no orders, no shouting, just a glance, a signal, a nod. Her squad moved like professionals, like they had trained with her for years. But they had only met her an hour ago. Later that evening, Ash stood outside the tech bay again. Security was increased. 2 armed guards stood at the door. She didn't enter. She didn't even look at them. She just stood still, as if listening. Then she turned and walked away. Inside, the base systems flickered for 1 second. Power spike. Sensors offline. Passwords. Reset. And when everything came back online, a new program was found running silently in the background. No name. No source. Just one file inside. Sleep is for the dead. That night, Clorak made a decision. He would confront her. Ash was standing by the old satellite dish on the edge of the camp. Clorak walked up behind her, slow and careful. "You don't sleep," he said. Ash didn't turn. "No," she replied. "Why?" She was silent for a few seconds, then, "Because sleep is when walls fall down. When minds open." Clorak stepped closer. "And you can't let your walls fall?" She turned slowly to face him. Her voice was calm. "No, Sergeant, because I'm not just here to train. I'm here to watch." He stared at her. "Watch what?" Ash looked up at the night sky. Her eyes seemed deeper than before, to see how long fear hides behind armor, how long the strong pretend they're not afraid. Clorak's hand went to his sidearm slowly. Ash smiled, just a little. "Don't worry, I'm not your enemy." "Then what are you?" Ash tilted her head. "I'm your wake-up call." The next morning, the camp woke to a strange scene. The statue of General Tharn, the founder of Camp Razorwind, had been moved. No alarms had gone off. No cameras had caught anything. And at the base of the statue, someone had carved a message. "Train harder, someone is watching." The officers gathered, tension filled the room. Zara stood by the holomap. She moved a 6-ton statue without a trace. Clorak said nothing. He was staring at Ash's file. It was empty. No birth record, no training log, no Earth location, just her name, Cadet Ash, and a single line under notes, recommended for observation class. Deployment. Clorak finally spoke. "There's no more doubt." "She's not here to join our army," Zara said. Clorak nodded. "She's here to judge it. Judgment Day. Protocol." The warning lights turned black. Not red, not yellow. Black. It had never happened before in the history of Camp Razorwind. Even during war drills or alien breaches, warning lights were always red. But now, every screen, siren, and system turned pitch black. And then one word appeared across every display in white blinking letters. Judgment Day Protocol, activated. In the command tower, alarms were silent. Dead. The air felt heavier. Officer Zara stared at her console. Nothing responded. No buttons. No controls. Clorak stormed into the room. "What happened?" "It's not a glitch," Zara said. "It's a lockout. We've been cut off from our own system." "Who did it?" he barked. The answer came not from her, but from the wall. A soft female voice echoed through the room, Ash's voice. "Protocol loaded. Review commencing. All actions monitored. All lies will fail." Clorak froze. So did everyone else. "She's not testing herself anymore," whispered Zara. "She's testing us." Outside, the cadets stood in the courtyard. The sky above had changed. The artificial weather dome, normally blue and sunny, was now showing a gray sky crackling with dark lightning. Wind howled. The ground beneath their feet vibrated gently like something below was moving. A deep voice echoed from hidden speakers. "Begin sector scan. Ethics, honor, purpose." Cadets looked around, confused and frightened. "Is this another simulation?" one asked. "No," said a senior alien. "This is something else." Then came the list. One by one, names of officers and cadets appeared in the air. Each name flickered, red or green. No one understood why, but the meaning was clear. Green, clear. Red, exposed. Clorak's name turned red. So did Zara's. In the war room, Clorak slammed his fist on the table. "What is she doing? This is military." "Sabotage?" "No," said a calm voice. It was Ash. She stood at the doorway, not hiding. No weapons, no armor, just her presence. "You trained me to follow orders," she said softly. But what if the orders are broken? Clorak growled. You are not allowed to question. The awakening protocol Ash was gone. No footsteps, no trail, no ship. Just gone. But her presence remained, in whispers, in systems, and in fear. Every soldier at Camp Razorwind now trained harder, spoke softer, listened more. Because even though the base returned to normal, nothing felt normal, because something had been activated. Deep underground, far below the main base, a room sealed for 100 years opened by itself. No one had the key. No one even knew it existed. But now, blue. Lights pulsed along the walls. Air hissed. Old machines came online, humming with energy. At the center was a pod. Inside the pod was a name. Not a person. A name. Awakening Protocol, Phase 2. Back in the command tower, Officer Zara was running scans. We're picking up ghost signals from across the system, she told Clorak. Unusual pings from dead satellites, old drones activating themselves, and Earth tech is showing up on alien moons. Clorak frowned. Is it Ash again? Zara shook her head. No, this feels bigger, wider. She brought up a map. Dots appeared, 12 of them, all across the galaxy. Same pattern, she said. Every signal, same design. Clorak stared at the screen. Deathworlder signatures. Meanwhile, in a forgotten mining colony on Destra 9, a worker woke up from his sleep. His hands shook. His heartbeat raced. He didn't know why. He had been a normal miner his whole life. Weak, sickly, quiet. But today, he bent steel with his bare hands. His coworkers screamed. He didn't mean to hurt anyone, he just wasn't the same anymore. And deep in his mind, a voice whispered, "You are not broken. You were asleep. Now, you are awake." On Station Virex, a young female technician was repairing a comms array. She touched a damaged wire, and suddenly, data flowed into her brain like lightning. She fell to her knees. She saw Earth. Stars. Hidden knowledge. Old wars. And she heard a name. Ash. Then a message. You were never alone. You were always watching. She opened her eyes. The comm system was fixed, created without tools. All across the galaxy, it was happening. People who had no power, no training, no reason to fight, were changing. They moved faster, thought deeper, felt more alive. And all of them had one thing in common. They were born on death worlds, planets like Earth, harsh, wild, dangerous. Worlds that forced evolution to move faster. Worlds that created survivors. Now something was waking those survivors. Something Ash had unlocked. Back at Camp Razorwind, Clorak stood before a silent audience of top commanders. Ash was not a mistake, he said. She was a signal. The first spark. Zara added, she didn't come to learn from us. She came to test the field and trigger the next phase. The room remained still. Then Clorak continued, his voice low. We thought we were training her. But we were just the starting line. That night, in the central tower, Zara found a new file blinking on her terminal. Unmarked, hidden in layers of security. She opened it. Inside was a message. Phase 2 complete. Phase 3 begins. Contact. Below it were names. Hundreds of names. People from Earth, other death worlds, unknown to the system, all of them tagged with one word. Awakened. In space, near the edge of the galactic core, a giant structure powered, up for the first time in centuries. Not a ship, not a station. Something older, built before maps, before governments, an ancient machine with 12 spires. Each spire pointed to a different death world, and at the center was a glowing seat, empty, waiting. The machine whispered in a dead language. Ash has opened the eye. The trial of balance begins. And on a moon where no one lived, Ash stood alone. She was not hiding. She was waiting. In front of her floated 12 holograms, faces of the newly awakened. She spoke calmly. You feel the power, but you must now learn the cost. You were sleeping. Now you are part of something greater. They will fear you. They will hunt you. But you must not strike first. You must hold the line until the real enemy shows itself. One of the holograms spoke. Who is the real enemy? Ash's smile faded. The ones who built the death worlds on purpose. The enemy above the stars. Ash stood in silence. The galaxy was waking. Deathworlders, once forgotten, once broken, once weak, were rising, faster, smarter, stronger. But now, the real danger was coming, not from below, not from each other, but from above the stars. Long ago, before the Galactic Union, before species traveled between planets, before machines learned to think, there were the architects. No one remembers them now, because they erased themselves from history. But they left something behind. 12. Death worlds. Built, not born. Designed to push life beyond its limit, to create survivors, to create weapons. Ash now knew the truth. Earth was one of those. Death worlds, so were the others, and now the weapons were awakening. In deep space, beyond the edge of all maps, something moved. Huge. Silent. Alive, but not made of flesh. A machine world, black like shadow, covered in golden lines and blinking lights. It had no windows, no crew, only watchers, ancient watchers, and now they had turned their eyes to Ash. Back at Camp Razorwind, alarms screamed. Officer Zara ran into the control room. We have incoming, unknown object, size of a small moon, speed, impossible. Klorak looked at the screen. His face turned pale. It's not moving. Through space, it's folding through it. He stared at the readouts. No engines, no sound, but it's already here. Outside, the sky cracked. Not thunder, not weapons. Reality itself shook. Then it appeared, high above the camp. Not an enemy ship, not a fleet, but something, watching, recording, studying. A voice filled the minds of everyone at the base. Calm. Cold, no accent, no emotion. You have woken the weapons too early. You were meant to evolve slower. We are here to assess, and if needed, to reset. Cadets collapsed to the ground. Some screamed, some bled from their ears. Only Ash stood tall, her eyes glowing silver blue. She answered aloud, You don't own us. We are not your weapons anymore, the voice replied. You were never meant to know. You were created to fight our wars. You were not supposed to awaken. Suddenly, the holograms of the other awakened Deathworlders lit up. All across the galaxy, they saw it too. The Watchers above the stars. And together, they felt something rise inside them. Not fear, purpose. Ash raised her hand. A signal went out, silent, unseen, powerful. In a mining colony, the once quiet worker punched the ground. Energy pulsed. Machines shut down. He looked up, no longer afraid. On Station Virex, the technician tapped a single command. All comms. Systems across the sector changed frequency, united. From desert worlds to ice planets, from deep oceans to sky cities, the awakened began to connect, and together, they said one word. No. The voice from above hesitated. Then it changed. Then you will be removed. The black machine world lit up. Weapons opened. Space trembled, but Ash was already moving. She walked to the center of Camp Razorwind and stood on the old combat platform. A glowing circle appeared around her. 12 beams of light shot down from across the galaxy. They connected through her, not destroying her, charging her. Her voice echoed across the stars. You made us strong by accident. You pushed us too far. You trained us without meaning to. Now we are what you fear most. We are uncontrolled. Then she raised both hands. The stars blinked, not from light, but from time itself, shaking. The machine world tried to fire, but its systems were now blocked, hacked from within. Ash wasn't alone anymore. The awakened network had reached it first. They weren't weapons. They were a new species now, born from death worlds. Bound by no command, Ash looked up one last time. We are not your tools. We are your end. With a flash brighter than any sun, the machine world vanished, not destroyed, just removed, as if space itself rejected it. Silence returned, the stars calmed, and the galaxy breathed again. Back, on the ground, Ash looked at the younger cadets. They stared at her with wide eyes. Are you leaving? One asked. Ash nodded. There are more of us out there. They need to wake up too. Zara walked forward. Where will you go? Ash smiled. Wherever the next lie lives. She turned and walked into the horizon. Her form shimmered, and then she was gone.